Hello, Jonny.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
This episode is very interesting because we are in Guatemala. We're at my parents' house. And before we start talking about coffee and anything about coffee, I would like to ask you about your favorite band, because I know that you like punk music and punk rock, and I love it. So
We have the same taste. Incubus is a massive one for me.
Okay.
I love Incubus. I always go back down to them, and then I kind of switch at the roastery from how I feel that day.
okay,
So it'll be stuff like if I need to get stuff done, fast music.
okay.
If I need to get chill, I have slower music, and then if I'm just having a weird day, everywhere.
And since when you were listening to Incubus? How old were you?
Probably 15. Easily 15. Like I started on Incubus, then I loved like Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith,
Okay.
all of the classic stuff that you would call classic now, but it's just what you grow up with in childhood. Nirvana, all of the good stuff.
Did you ever play an instrument? Or...
Just the drums.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to play the drums from when I was younger. So when I was Celine's age,
Okay, like 7 months old.
pots and pans, used to get little chopsticks and just bang on like pots, break them. And then Mum finally agreed to get me like drum lessons when I started high school.
Okay.
And then because you're a teenager at high school, you don't really want to practice. You just want to play the drums and have a laugh. But I loved it, and then I just played in a band, and yeah, just went from there. Very lucky with how everything worked out, really, with the music side of things.
And the band that you played at,
Yeah,
what type of music do you play?
that was classic rock
Okay.
and blues, which is my favourite.
I remember that once we met at Liverpool, right? And you did a gig there.
At the Cavern, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say the band's name because it's like that's a whole nother part of life. But it was fun at the time, and we were very lucky mixing with like the right people. So we had a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't get.
Okay.
And it was just fun. You know, it's like the right age to do it, the right time, and just a lovely experience, basically.
And you played music until what age?
Till I left to go to Australia
Okay.
when I was 27.
Okay.
And then I had to quit the band, left to go to Australia, didn't really do anything with music in Australia, and I got back from Australia when I was 30,
Okay. And why did you went to Australia?
because all of my family live out there.
Yep.
My mum did loads of travelling when she was younger. She did lots of sort of tours. They were all the old sort of hippie tours that all across, you know, into Iran, into like the Silk Road kind of tours. So she did that all over the world, and I always wanted to do that. She kind of drummed it into me at a young age that travelling is important. So it was kind of a goal of mine to go travelling and see the world a bit. So I did India, all of Southeast Asia, and then needed some money.
Yeah.
So I went to work in Australia, basically.
Okay. And coffee, I mean, you're playing music, you go to Australia. When did coffee kick in? Was that before the music part, during Australia, after?
No, the ridiculous thing is I didn't drink coffee or beer
Okay.
before I went to Australia.
Okay.
And you know how much I like beer
Yeah.
and coffee. So yeah, I didn't drink coffee or beer, and then I went to Australia and I knew they had like a coffee culture out there. So probably like loads of people, you have a coffee in this country and you think, oh, that's just not very nice. You know, back in when I was 20, I didn't even really, 20 to that age, I didn't really know about specialty coffee. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
I just would go to a coffee shop and say, can I have a cappuccino?
Yeah.
Try it and go, that's absolutely disgusting. When I was in Australia, I was doing a lot of completely random work, so I just wanted a coffee to wake up in the morning, basically. So I used to go to places around, have a coffee, and it used to annoy me because one place would be really nice, one place wouldn't be very nice.
Okay.
And that's when it all kind of started, really.
And what? So you were working nothing related to coffee.
Not
You were
I
just-
was working in offices.
And you were exploring coffee, basically.
I was just having a coffee,
Yeah.
from the one office that I worked in Australia. Part of the perk, they had a barista
Yeah.
all day,
Okay.
just working in the office. So you could go on like a 5-minute break. They'd make you a coffee for free,
Okay.
and you just get a proper coffee.
That's a nice perk.
Really
That's
good.
really nice.
It was really good. And then, yeah, I just kept on sort of drinking it basically, and then I got more and more into it. Still had no idea about origins or different beans. Just I knew that place was nice, that place wasn't nice. I knew that guy did the milk well, and that was weird. That's basically how it started.
And did you ever work in coffee in Australia, or you never worked?
Nothing. I did in Australia, just out of pure curiosity, I did a coffee, like a intro to coffee barista course,
Okay.
because I was just interested in it. It's like I did lots of brewery tours in Australia because I was interested in the brewing process, and I thought, oh, there's actually a coffee one, so I'll just go and do that. So
Sorry.
no, so I basically just went to that, did the course, and yeah, just found it fascinating. That was the start.
And you go back to the UK.
Yep,
You're based in Cambridge, right?
yep.
And what happens?
So in that time, I was living with my mum, and when I went back to the UK, I went to stay with her for a bit, just while we sort of got sorted again. She'd moved in that time from where I used to live to basically just outside of Cambridge. And because I'd lived in Melbourne, Brisbane, all these big cities around the world, I didn't want to move back to a small town. I wanted to kind of live in somewhere modern with like nice restaurants and coffee places and bars. And Cambridge ticked it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that actually feels different to the UK that I knew before. So I think because of the mindset that I had in Australia, where you just were applying for any job. So I used to apply for any job, get it, do the job. So I just was like looking one day, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, I could just go and work in a restaurant. I like food. And then that's where sort of the actual working in hospitality sort of came from. I went for just a waiter job just to get out of the house.
Okay. I will stop you right there, and we're gonna come back to this.
Yeah.
Something that I admire that you do, that you have, is your palate. I think that you're very good at tasting things,
Yeah.
at describing things. For instance, yesterday we were eating a sauce, and you said something that struck me was, I get annoyed when I cannot find that ingredient, that
Yeah.
secret ingredient, and you're constantly deconstructing food.
Yeah.
When did that start? Was that all your life? Were you very fussy with things that you ate, or?
I think it's weird. When I was younger, I was fussy with food. And then as I got older and realised nothing happens if you just try things,
Yeah.
I think then I was like, oh yeah, I'll just try everything. And then as I went on, I was like really interested in like craft beer.
Okay.
So I used to love craft beer, and I used to love the tasting notes of craft beer and working out like why that might say peachy or why that's hoppy and what that hop tastes like, and you know, all the different things that I work. But I kind of look at flavour a bit like music really, with like the high notes being like the acidity, the bass notes being like the maltiness of the beer or the body of the coffee. So I just think that's how my brain works. Every time I eat something, I kind of just think about it in those terms.
Okay, and that happened in Australia. That's when you started drinking
I think
craft beers, or that's when you came back?
I think it was more just tasting. I didn't really focus on tasting things till I started working in an industry where you needed to taste.
Yeah, and this is very important, because when people talk to me and they ask me how should I start working in coffee, I tell them just go and taste things. I mean, food-wise, everything has a taste. We're just used to just swallow things but not tasting them. So yeah, I'm gonna go back. You went to waiter in a restaurant.
Yep.
And what happened?
And then I went for a job as a waiter. They asked me if I wanted to be the manager. I had no idea what that involved, but I just said, yes, that sounds fine.
Great.
Sounds like a normal thing to do. Still didn't get paid anything really worth it, but it was okay. So I did with the waiting for a while, and it was a brand new place. I said, obviously you're going to put a coffee machine in here, right? And they said, no, we never thought about that. And I said, well, look, everywhere's doing it. You know, it's like this will fit a coffee machine, and it's just an extra revenue. So I thought, right, here we go. I can put the coffee machine in. I was like, I know how to do this. Couldn't work out how to dial it in. Couldn't work out anything about it because I was just remembering it from a course that I did probably 2 years previous to that. But anyway, I got more into coffee and was doing, you know, practicing on that machine basically. And then in Cambridge, I found sort of the only specialty place at the time. And I was kind of going there on the day off, trying coffee there, getting more into that sort of scene. And then I ended up working with them basically.
And then you worked there as a barista?
Barista. And then started off as a barista. I think we've had this conversation before where I just don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm just going to work really, really hard, earn absolutely nothing, earn like minimum wage, and which at the time was like £6 an hour, something absolutely insane.
Ridiculous.
But I was just like, I'm just going to be here all the time, work really hard so no one tells me what to do, and just learn as much as I can. So I always had like a vision that I will do something myself one day.
Was that, I do this question a lot, was it a restaurant? Was it a coffee place? Was it a music store? Or did you just, or it just felt right when you were working in the coffee industry?
I just loved like hospitality from the first day that I did it. I just felt like I was having a laugh. You know, I used to work in offices.
Yeah.
So it just felt like, it didn't really feel like a job.
Yeah.
It just felt like I go and stand in a place, have a laugh with people, do stuff I'm interested in, and get paid for it. So I was like, this is great. So I loved it from the start. I never viewed it like, oh my God, I've got to go to work. Like I just liked the buzz of it. It's a busy place, so it was, you know, it was pretty hectic. So yeah, that's it. I just loved it really from the start.
And you were working as a barista, you were thinking, feeling, at some point I'm gonna do something for myself. I don't know how, I don't know when.
Yeah.
You worked there for how many years?
I worked there for probably close to 4 years.
4 years, and you started roasting.
Yeah, so I was a little bit sneaky, if I'm honest. So, like probably loads of people, they don't have a clear path on what you want to do. So it's kind of like you start as a barista, then you think, right, head barista, then you think maybe manager, whatever. That's generally the path. But there was a roaster there, so I thought, actually I wouldn't mind learning how to do that, learning a bit more about the cupping, learning a bit more about flavour and stuff that I'm interested in. So one day I bought a Jean Cafe roaster. I was like, I'm going to buy one of them. And my whole thought process, which sounds so conniving and sneaky, the whole thought process was, if I get one of those, I'll just start roasting and kind of just put it out there that I'm interested in roasting.
Yeah.
And then if anything comes up, it will be, oh, well, that guy's already got a roaster. I've no idea who he is because he just works here, but he's like roasting his own coffee.
Okay. When was this? What year was it? 2017?
This would have been, I would say 2017, 2016, something like that.
And was, when you worked there, was the first time you saw a coffee roaster? Or you had an idea that coffee was roasted, or? Yeah,
it was the first time I'd seen a coffee roaster, but if you told me how it worked, I would have no idea. I saw it in a couple of shops in Melbourne, but I think when you look at something like that, it could be sort of almost an oven, or it could be something it's just a bit of equipment that you've got no idea really how it operates.
And you start roasting in the Jonny cafe.
Yeah.
And then
awful.
That's the 250 grams, right? The one that makes so much smoke.
Yeah, you can't do anything, you just turn it on. So it was good. I never regret having one of those because I used to buy just any bean, roast it, and 9 times out of 10 it was underdeveloped. and then that grassy flavour that you would try. Have no idea why it tasted grassy.
Yeah.
But I know I didn't want burn.
Yeah.
But because I didn't want burn, I got grass. And because I had that flavour like burn into my brain is absolutely disgusting. When I went on to like a proper roaster, I kind of absolutely was like no. Because at the time, you started getting a lot of, at that time it was very trendy just to go lighter, 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 lighter.
Yeah.
You know, all those sort of Nordic roasters that were popular at that time, they were very, very light and arguably a bit underdeveloped. So grassiness was just a flavour that was just like, right, I don't want that in the cup.
Yeah. This is extremely interesting because basically you were working, but you were also roasting at your place and you understood why you did not want it in coffee, basically. You were saying,
Yeah.
I don't want underdeveloped, I don't want grass, I don't want birds.
Yeah.
So when you tasted something that was okay, you were like, this is okay.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing started. But I'm gonna do two questions here. The first question was, so you were roasting the Gili Cafe, but you were still a barista.
Yeah.
At some point, did you roast it for that business?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what happened was the guy that was currently roasting went away.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine who you know, I used to work with her, Emma, she was like, oh, Jonny roasts. He roasts at his home, I'm sure he can do it. So then it was very much a learn on the job.
Okay. And that was my second question. Did you ever got trained
No.
to roast? It was just learning.
And the only way I did it was working with the guys in the shop and just tasting and have a rough idea.
Okay.
So I remember buying a few books, like obviously like everyone, you read the Scott Rao book, and I read another one which was like it's kind of a simpler version which sort of is more how I roast today. But yeah, that was it. So just basically learn, and then as soon as I knew that really like the sort of secret is taste as much as possible and work backwards from flavour.
Do you think that's the secret of roasting?
I think, yeah, to be honest, I think even when I came last time and spoke to Jonathan about it, it was, you sort of come to that thing where as long as you know where you're going with it, you can simplify down. Like I'm a big believer in not messing with every variable. So you understand the machine that you're using and you understand how to tweak things in that machine that make a difference. And
that's interesting because I'm just gonna go back to the story and then I'm gonna talk about taste, how you approach coffee.
Yeah.
You roast in that business for a while.
Yeah.
And then you stop.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I used to get my hair cut. It's so strange. I used to get my hair cut at a barber shop. The guy who was cutting my hair at the barber shop wanted to open a barber shop, a coffee shop, and a bar.
Okay.
At the time, I was kind of thinking, there's not much I can do extra. I need to kind of do something else. So, over months, as I was getting my hair cut, you have more chats. And I said, look, if you need help doing it, I work for a company that can do it. I can get you coffee from them. We'll set you up. Basically selling them a wholesale account, because that's what I was doing there, mainly, I was doing wholesale. And then it kind of progressed, and in the end, he sort of offered me a job there.
Okay.
I didn't really want to leave, to be honest, to do something new. I just wanted to kind of get another wholesale account. However, I did have an idea. I thought, actually, if I roast for them and work as a barista and they pay me the same money I'm on now, then that's a zero risk way of roasting, earning more money while getting paid to do the job, basically. So it's kind of a financial thing more than a...
And what was the drive to do things? Was it passion for coffee? Was it money? Was it progression, career?
I think I always wanted to do something extra, whether it was get another wholesale account. I never really wanted to just chill and do nothing. So there was always something in me where I was like, you know, I can't just work here, I've got to do something myself. Like, I can't just work in a restaurant, I've got to think about the restaurant idea and open something for myself.
Yeah.
Very naive, because I used to think, oh, you just do it. So I think the drive to go there was more like, it's something new. You know, when you've worked at a place for ages, you kind of see the flaws,
yes.
And at the time, I just thought, if I don't do something myself, I can't just be like whinging about why someone else's business isn't doing what I think. So it was kind of just proving the concept basically that I had.
And you quit and you go to this place.
Yeah.
And you roast for them.
Yeah.
What roaster do you use?
Aleo Bullet.
So you bought an Aleo Bullet?
Yeah, so I bought an Aleo Bullet on a credit card, and this was the time, I'm not sure if it's changed, but this was from Taiwan.
Okay, yeah.
You know, when they were first come out
yes.
and you had to import them, so it came over, and again, stupidly thinking, oh yeah, well, it's 1 kilo. So I've got a 1 kilo roaster, so if I come back from work at 5, then I roast, I can roast 4 kilos every day.
Yeah.
Obviously. Easy.
So easy.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Do it. So it'll be it's absolutely fine, and I'll earn this much money.
Yeah.
So easy. Obviously, it didn't work like that in any way.
Why did it work? Because I think that a lot of people think like that. They're thinking you're just gonna get a bullet, roast 5-6 kilos later. What happened to you? What was your experience?
Well, I was in my shed in my house, and it was smoky, disgusting. You roast on the Aleo Bullet, it blocks up with chaff almost instantly.
Yeah.
It just, all the chaff sort of stays on the coffee, so you have to blow it off, and it was just ridiculous because you're kind of funneling a kilo into this tiny machine, trying to do this production, which is actually, 4 kilos a day is not easy to do on that roaster at all. And then it also takes about 12 minutes per batch, I think, on the Aleo, and then you've got a 4-minute warm up. So in the end, I was just absolutely sick of it. I think I did it for a while, but then I was like, it's got to change.
And what happened?
It's like, I'm sure your ideas come, I was just driving and I was like, what can I do? Because I also have people texting me saying, can you supply me coffee?
So back then you still were a barista for this barber shop?
Still for a barista every day.
And you started wholesaling to friends
By
and family?
accident.
Yes.
From people that knew about me,
Okay.
were not necessarily happy with their current provider.
Yeah.
So I remember on Christmas, on New Year's Day, one day, this customer that I'd worked with before for this other business texted me, and they weren't really happy with how it's going. They said, can you supply me? So I was like, well, you've asked me, so yeah, I can supply you.
And in the bullet, you were still roasting in the bullet.
Yeah.
So you were doing like 7-8 kilos a day.
Yeah.
That was like a proper 10-hour shift.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew once they started asking me for coffee, I was like, right, because it's sort of 2 people happened at the same time.
Okay.
So I was like, I can't really do this. It doesn't make sense. I've got to think of something. So I was like, well, I don't have 20 grand for a roaster. I also don't really want to buy a unit and, all that money. I just didn't have the money to do that. So I was kind of thinking, and then I thought, actually, my friend works for another roaster. I'm just going to ask the question. So I text Tom and I said, hello mate, I know this is like the weirdest thing, but is there any chance I could roast on your machine? Had no idea that was a thing, had no idea that slot roasting was possible, had no idea that anyone would say yes. I would just assume they would say no. So he goes, let me ask. And then it was like, yeah, absolutely. And the guy just handed me the keys.
Did they charge you something for it?
Charged me something, yeah.
And what was the deal? How much were you paying?
£1 a kilo.
£1,
Yeah.
1 kilo.
Yeah.
And you told them at the end of the day, I roasted 7 kilos, here are your £7.
Yeah, and I was just basically very straightforward because I didn't want to sort of take the piss really. I just like, yeah, I've roasted 40 kilos today, there you go, there's 40 pounds.
Okay.
So it was really nice relationship because he was just like, yeah, there you go, there's the keys, don't set it on fire.
And that leads me to another question. This was 2018, 2019?
Something like that, yeah.
You were lucky enough to be living close to Ballers. Were you buying the green coffee from Ballers when you started, or do you bought it from someone else, or?
All Volos, never a delivery, just literally went to pick up one sack in a Volkswagen Polo.
And when you, when you got there, is it just like for you to choose whatever you see, or were you?
No, I used to work with companies that I knew from when I previously did it. Yeah, so it's like, you know, one bag from Falcon, one bag from Coffee Net. But it was just literally driving a Volkswagen Polo, picking up 2 bags, unloading it, dragging it across the car park at midnight.
Yeah.
Awful. You know, just a joke.
Yeah.
Keeping them in my house.
And so you were texting these importers, they start selling you 1 bag of coffee.
Yeah.
You never thought of delivery. You always thought, I'm close enough. How far away is it?
40 minutes.
40 minutes. So 40 minutes drive.
Yeah.
It's not crazy.
No.
Gonna go there. You started stock roasting this roaster. And I guess that somehow the business started growing, right?
Yeah, it was all I'm very bad with taking sort of risks.
Yeah.
With money. So it was very simple when you kind of look back because it was, I would say 2000, definitely before COVID.
Yeah.
I was essentially just working in places and roasting. So I worked in other cafes. I left that cafe.
You still working with the barber?
Yeah, it didn't really work out. So then I moved to another cafe again, just a friend worked there and he said they're nice people. So I ended up working with them and I said, look, I don't care what you pay me, I just do 3 days. But I have got this other thing that I'm doing. Because I think by then I had probably maybe like 4 or 5 customers.
Okay.
So that just allowed me to work, get something while doing the rest. But it got to a stage where I worked with them right up to the pandemic and someone was ringing me saying our coffee machine's being installed, where do I drill the hole in the counter? And I was like making lattes for this business, just going, oh sorry, but luckily that I knew them and they were fine. Okay. They just knew I was just there to work. And
when did it got exciting rather than scary?
Weirdly, it was always scary because I was working with this cafe and everything was like sort of organically moving. So it was okay money-wise. I was living in an incredibly cheap place. All my costs were like 0. I was just paying, the guys at Silver Oak to use their machine. So everything was very like step by step. I was happy, had fun, did that. Then obviously the pandemic hit. And that was a joke because basically that was when I went not full time, but I was in that grey area where I didn't really have an employment that was going to pay me any money.
Yeah.
In terms of like the handouts for COVID, and I was self-employed, but not for long enough.
Yeah.
Never put in a tax return. So it was all of those things where everything was just stopped in COVID. No money, nothing.
And that's when you opened the coffee shop, right?
Yeah. So before COVID, I approached someone about coffee, had a meeting, and he said, oh, if you know anyone that wants to open a coffee bar, we've got this space over there, outside. Just literally a dugout hole at the front of the pub. So I said, okay, yeah, leave it with me. Thinking, I could probably do that. COVID happened, and then as soon as COVID was sort of opening again, that's when I kind of resumed talks with them.
And then you said, I want to do that.
I said, I can do it.
And you were not working for this coffee place anymore.
No.
Your wholesale accounts, they failed and they kept going?
They were just open when they were open, but closed when they were closed, like anyone else. So yeah, some were open, some were closed.
and you opened this coffee place, right?
Yeah.
What was it? I remember that you mentioned it was just like a plastic table.
Yeah, so me and a friend went over there one day, and he was like, I think this could be cool. Like, you could put something there, you could put the tarpaulin there. I'm awful at building stuff, so he was just sort of basically saying, yeah, just put a table, you know, almost just saying it's not that hard to put a table in, which for a normal person it's not, but I'm terrible at stuff like that. So yeah, we did it the most, you know, dodgy way you could.
Yeah.
Plank of wood, rented a coffee machine, put it on there, rented, you know, got a sink put in, basically absolute bare minimum to serve coffee and cake.
Okay.
Bare minimum.
And it went great, right?
It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was absolutely stupid. It was started off with just one grinder, a coffee machine. We had water and we had power, so that was like the main thing done. We opened thinking it would do £300 a day, and I think at its peak it was probably doing about £2,500.
That was, you guys blew it out of the water basically, and you started building this place, right? And you started putting more things and...
Yeah, I mean, we basically could only do what we could do.
Yeah.
It was, you know, we didn't have space, we didn't have storage, we could only do much. We were just serving in a space, you know, like, which could fit 2 people in a coffee machine.
Yeah.
But where it was massively right time, right place, because we were outside, so we were serving always outside, and we were serving on a location where everyone did their daily walk.
Okay.
So it became like a thing where people would be like, oh, well, I'm going to do my hour's walk and I'll grab a coffee.
Okay. And you're roasting for...
I was roasting for that, yeah.
Okay.
So I did it with someone else, and the reason I did it with that guy, which was probably a stupid decision, but he had a grinder.
And that was it?
I knew he had a grinder.
What grinder was it?
A Mythos one.
Okay.
I was like, he's got a Mythos one, and I've rented a machine.
Okay, so
that was the thought process.
Is...
That's how you make bad decisions in business, but that was what it was.
And here's the question. When you were roasting for the place that you were serving the coffee, was it a different approach that wholesaling coffee? Like the coffee that you bought, was it different for wholesale than to serve yourself?
No, exactly the same. So I've always basically had a thought process where I want just one solid espresso.
Yeah.
One solid espresso that's, you know, not mega acidic, but it's like got ripe fruit acidity, but I'm a big fan of having like a crowd-pleasing coffee. I had naturals at the time, and I'm a massive fan of a natural espresso with milk. I love that sort of flavour profile, but I always was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just like, I want a chocolatey coffee that's approachable. An old lady will like it, a young person will like it, just a decent coffee.
So you were wholesaling this coffee to people?
Yeah.
You were serving this coffee
every day
in your shop?
Yeah.
And do you have microloads? Do you have any funky coffees?
Yeah.
When did you start getting offered those coffees? Was it like a boom, or they were always there?
No, I always had them from day one, just for my own fun.
Okay.
So it was almost like the business was, let's say, 95% sort of chocolatey espresso, let's say, just to be easy, and then 5% online retail for filters.
Okay. And you were serving this coffee. Were you selling bags of coffee roasted, or you were not selling? Or you were just purely
tins?
I
was selling the tins there, but
okay.
Again, because there was no space, and also weirdly no time.
Okay.
It was like we on a Saturday and a Sunday, which obviously the busier days, we were working 4 shots of espresso ahead.
What do you mean? Oh, 4 shots? Okay, wow, okay.
So, yeah, we would open, and then there would be a queue as far as you could see.
Okay.
And some days we would just look out and we were like, oh my God, it was like queue. So we worked out this system where we would have, 4 shots done. As soon as we get in, the machine was set up, dialed in, we'd just go espresso, 4 in takeaway. It was all takeaway.
Yeah.
And then the first person to come, and we would make the coffee and give it to them while they waited.
Yeah.
Because if they walked away, the time you would say to go, you know, whatever your name is,
Yes.
here's your
Come on,
coffee.
yes.
You're then behind.
Okay.
So we're just like, the person's going to wait there, we're going to give them the pastry, we're going to make the coffee and do it. So we had like 2 people on the machine, 1 person on the till, 1 person passing the order.
Did you found people asking for espressos, V60s, very unique coffee, like people tasting the coffee, or mainly they were asking for cappuccinos, lattes?
Just cappuccino latte.
Okay,
It's
that's
all just espresso-based coffee, and you know, they all wanted a chat because it was lockdown. They all wanted a laugh. They all were the best customers in the world because everyone was just like, "Thank you for being here,"
okay.
which was really cool.
Yeah. Did you ever got a complaint about the taste of the coffee, or they were just very?
They just loved it because
Yeah.
even at that time, I knew that coffee was going to be really good
Yeah.
because I knew it was like from that type of stall.
Yes.
You would think that the coffee would be terrible.
Yes, exactly.
So I knew that we were gonna, you know, people are gonna be like, oh my god, this stall looks so bad.
Yeah.
And I've just got a really nice coffee from it.
Okay. Well,
And that was kind of the charm of it. It just looked like a joke.
yeah.
And then they got something that was, you know, the best
Amazing.
coffee around, let's say.
Because then the business started growing as a proper business, right?
Yeah.
You got tables in, you create a shed.
It just got a lot more serious because when you're turning over that level of like cash,
Yeah.
you then need to go, right, it's not just us giving each other 200 quid
Yes.
each day. We're like, now there's like, we need like a bank account. We need, you know, we need to actually work out
Yeah.
who owns what. We need to speak to an accountant. At that time, I just didn't even have an accountant.
And did you ever thought of stop roasting, wholesaling, and just do this
No.
full time? Or you always thought, I'm always gonna wholesale and roast coffee?
No, weirdly, as much as money as the cafe was making, I always used to treat that as like a secondary thing.
Okay.
I was like, my business is coffee roasting. That's my business. This is just something that's got out of control.
Okay, got it. You created the business, and at some point you sold your half
Yeah,
to this guy, right?
yeah.
And you opened a second one.
I opened, yeah, it was very strange. I went to Australia again, see my family, and then, you know, it's like this time of year I use it just to take a break and just think and just go, right, it's so hectic, I just need to go. And, you know, it was like when you sort of work with people, there's always things you agree on, things you disagree on. I'm a big one for freedom, and I'm a big one for just kind of doing things that I want to do. Never so focused on money that I will kind of ruin my like happiness for it.
Yeah.
And then when I was in Australia, you know, a few texts come in, and I was like, this is a joke, I don't want to do this, like, it's not making as much money because lockdown had ended, so
Yeah.
I was like, am I just going to stand in a shed for, you know, don't get me wrong, it was good money, but it wasn't worth the time
Yeah.
and the stress away from my own thing.
And here's this is very important because there's so many type of coffee businesses. When I meet a coffee person, I ask them, "What do you do?" Because some people they only wholesale.
Yeah.
They just have a coffee shop. Others they do whole supply chain. You were having 2 ends. You were wholesaling businesses
And a cafe.
and a cafe. Was it a good combo?
That was the idea.
Yeah.
In my head, when I started, I was like, that's what I want. I want the coffee roaster set up.
Yeah.
That will fund in a cafe.
Okay. So you always wanted to have those 2 pieces
Yeah.
there. How do you think it helped, and how do you think it hurt each other having both?
I think growth has always been potentially slower by the way that I do things. So when I started, I didn't go all in.
Yes.
So growth was slower. And then growth was picking up. And then I opened the cafe. And then growth was picking up again. And I opened another cafe.
Yeah.
So I've never actually just done coffee roasting.
Okay. How do you see yourself? in the next 5 years, 10 years? You don't know.
I don't know. I think the industry has changed a lot. I used to think, I got into it thinking, oh, this is this cool sort of concept, and I see it getting a bit more geeky and a bit more like who's got the best equipment, what shop looks. I think all shops are kind of looking a bit the same now.
Yeah.
And I used to love like just a random guy opening a shop with a grinder covered in like skateboard stickers and like the messy kind of look of it, and a bit more rock and roll kind of element to the way people used to open coffee shops with like zero budget, put a Marzocco in there, have a grinder that's good, and bang out really nice coffee.
Yeah.
But when everyone has nice coffee, these cafes are like going, right now, who's got the best equipment?
Yeah.
Who's got the best, looking place? And that's less of interest to me in terms of like what cafe looks the fanciest.
Do you think this change happened because the consumer were demanding it, or because the whole industry was shaping itself?
I think it's Instagram.
Okay.
I think it's Instagram like creates this coffee shop aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then you open a coffee shop, you get inspired by that because they look amazing, and you subconsciously do the same thing.
And do you think people are not that much into coffee anymore, more on the picture they're gonna take? Or do you think that having a great coffee is always a must?
No, I think the coffee, if anything, has got better.
Okay.
I think the coffee quality and the way people think about coffee is better.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think there are some really cool places still opening, and there's some really cool ideas like still happening in the industry. I just think, overall there's a generic aesthetic, which comes into everything.
If you don't fit that aesthetic, if you don't have this equipment, that you're not a specialty coffee enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also as well, I think what happens is the coffee kind of influences in your area will go to the place that is the aesthetically
more pleasant.
Yes. And has that look because they want it for their Instagram. So it's kind of that self-fulfilling thing where it's like, back in the day there used to be a YouTube channel called Caffeination.
Okay.
And it was this kind of skater guy that used to go to all these coffee places in San Francisco, and it would be like, there'd be a guy roasted coffee on a big thing, but it was cool because it was just served in a mug.
Yeah.
He was talking about the coffee, talking about the plants, talking to a guy that's like mega passionate about coffee. And that to me is what is exciting.
Yeah. Do you think the UK is shaping as its own thing, or all the other countries are also going through that change?
Yeah, I think the UK's got a cool scene to it. I think there's some people doing some really cool stuff still here.
Yeah.
I think it's as good as anywhere else in the world, to be honest now. I think when I last went to Australia, which was only a few years ago, everyone's like, that's the place. But it wasn't better.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
There's some really cool spaces out there, but it wasn't, you would never have a coffee there and go, that's different, better.
And here's a question for you as a roaster wholesaling to businesses. You wholesale to all types of businesses, offices, random restaurants, and fancy places.
Yeah.
Do you think the coffee they ask from you is different, or do you think all of them are looking for similar things? Do you think the fancy place wants something better than all the others, or do you think the offices are actually requesting really good coffee? Or?
No, I think it's my job to give them the coffee that they want.
Okay.
Because I remember when I started, I had no idea why I was buying a Brew.
Yeah.
I can read the tasting notes, but I can't really taste them.
Yeah.
With either the water I use, the way I brew it, if you don't know anything, I used to just buy a bag of coffee and brew it when I worked in an office.
Okay.
I had no idea what it, I probably didn't even look at a tasting note, to be honest. I was just like, oh, that's from Peru, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
It's $10.
Yeah.
So I think now it's my job not to push what I want, it's to think about what their customers want, think about who their client base is, and give them the coffee.
That's brilliant, because most of the time people walk into our cafe and they just say, I just want a coffee.
Yeah,
And I'm like, cool, if you just want a good tasting coffee,
that's the one.
this is the one. So we always try to have a decent coffee and then something a bit funkier, a bit more special.
Yeah.
I think the question goes more into how do you see these customers behaving in 5 years? Do you think offices that are constantly asking for the same coffee, they're just gonna keep asking for the same coffee? Or do you think there's a trend of offices trying to get better coffee? Or there's a trend of restaurants now serving better coffee? Or do you just want something cheap that works?
Yeah, I think offices are an interesting one because I think there's a few in Cambridge that I supply who get really nice coffee.
Okay.
They put it in a bean to cup machine, but putting good coffee in a bean to cup machine gives you nice coffee.
Yeah.
So offices, I think, slowly moving towards better stuff. I don't know why they have never put better stuff in because actually now it's not that much different in price.
Yeah.
So offices definitely, I would say they're moving to something that actually tastes drinkable. Restaurants weirdly struggle, I think, with coffee.
Okay.
I think a lot of the problem is that the chefs are generally ordering it and they maybe don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
But then, there's some amazing restaurants in Cambridge which I supply, and they've from day one they've always got really good coffee.
Okay.
Nothing mental, but like just
Okay.
solid coffee.
Yes.
One restaurant they do loads of experimental kind of fermented stuff anyway in their drinks. So they have like a non-alcoholic drinks menu which they create all themselves, which is so cool. And they get like the weirdest coffee that I've got. They'll get all the naturals and all the funky stuff because it fits
Their vibe.
their customer base. Yeah.
And have you ever been surprised by someone that looks amazing, but they just want the cheapest, worst tasting thing?
Yeah. All the time.
All the time.
Not saying any names,
Yes,
but
yes.
yeah. There's a lot of places where they, we've had this conversation about other things, but they want specialty coffee, but they also want it at a price that isn't specialty coffee.
Exactly.
And then they also will sell it and not dial it in,
Yeah.
or not train people.
For you, what's specialty coffee?
It's coffee that is good, essentially. That's the step one. It's beans that are decent, but then it's also care in making the coffee.
You have come for 3 years in a row to Guatemala, so you have seen the coffee farms, several coffee farms, different farms from all over the country. Because at the end we're speaking about Cambridge, but you have this unique perspective, which is you're here.
Yeah.
You meet the farmers, you see them. What was the most surprising thing that shocked you the first time you came? And second question is, what was something that you expected and you saw it there?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think in coffee, when you do trainings with people and when you do like intro to coffee courses, it's all about like ethical sourcing. You've got to make sure the farmer's paid money. That's like drilled into you, which is a cool story, right?
Yeah.
You read about the farmer, you read about how they, work and the conditions about ethics surrounding coffee. And I think when I came here, the first thing that clicked was like, in this country, it's not always about the farmers because sometimes they're a huge farm from a very wealthy background.
Yeah.
And it's all about the people that are working on the farm, the pickers.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to look at.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that, I would say, that was the most surprising thing about coming here first, because you're always told, poor coffee farmer, poor this, poor, these are the people, but it's actually here, it's different in some places, not everywhere.
And it's something you expected that and you saw it and it just...
Yeah, I think I expected it to be more, I'm trying to think what I did expect when I came here for a start. I expected it to be more kind of rural on the coffee farms. I expected it to be less fancy in a way.
Okay.
You know, it's like, I think
Yeah.
one of the first ones we went to, we had a really nice meal there, and it was a
Yeah.
really picturesque thing, and it was like a lovely house and a property, and it was almost like, oh right, okay, that's what it's like. I think you
Okay.
kind of expect to be up a mountain
Yeah.
with sort of, you
no
know,
water, no
yeah,
electricity. Yes.
people in ripped clothes,
Yes.
you know. But it was nice to see, because you're like, oh, actually cool, like we can have like a conversation about it, and yeah, obviously the people doing the work are the pickers, and it was cool to see that, you know, some farms would not let them carry all the bags. They'd have like a lorry that they load up, and you know, just little things like that were I would say the most interesting and surprising, and stuff that you don't think about.
Do you think that after coming here, your sourcing from green coffee changed?
Yeah, I think you know, I've always liked coffee from this country. Like most of my, let's say, competitors were their standard coffees of Brazil.
Yeah.
I've never loved Brazil's. As a massive generalisation, I always prefer coffees from sort of Guatemala, Colombia as an espresso. So yeah, I think it changed in the way that it kind of, I'm happy doing this. I'm happy going to the places where you buy from.
Yeah.
I'm happy seeing it. I don't need to see it with every single coffee, because I don't have the time or money to fly around the world going to coffee farms. But I think for my main coffee, I'm happy to go to a place and work with people that I know.
That's interesting. And what do you think that is putting you off a bit from Guatemalan farming? Something that you just don't like the way that they do it here? Or there's not?
I would say, I think there is a level of, in Guatemala, that this is the best coffee. You're never going to have a better coffee than this. You know, no other origin's the same.
Yeah.
This, what you're going to try at this cupping is the best coffee, and you know it's going to be this price because it's the best. No questions asked.
That's the belief of the farmers. Like that's how you feel sometimes.
Yeah, I think you
Yes.
sort of, you get that stage because you're tasting the same country.
Yes.
Rather than like at home, you'd be like Guatemala, Ethiopia, Brazil, Honduras, wherever. And you know, I get it. Obviously, if you grow something, you're gonna be like, this is the best coffee you've ever had. But almost, it would be good to say, this coffee is a great coffee. It will work really well on your espresso. Then we can all agree.
Yeah.
But then we've also got to acknowledge that there are some amazing other coffees.
Yes.
At maybe like a better price, or
Yes.
there might be a flavour profile that works better. You know, like a geisha will be better in Panama than it is in Guatemala.
I was gonna say that because we went to a coffee shop and we ordered 3 different coffees.
Yeah.
We got a natural geisha, and
Yeah.
you tried it, and you were like, "This is a very." If you compare it to an Ethiopian,
Yeah.
it's a bad Ethiopian.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing
Guatemala.
Yes.
And that's it. And
Yeah.
I think it's like me giving a cafe a coffee that won't work for them. It's like, yeah, let's just do what we're good at here.
Yeah.
And we're good at making that certain flavour profile
Yeah.
that works really well here.
Got it.
So I think that's the thing. It's just obviously that's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And obviously we can all agree that's a really nice coffee.
Yeah.
But it's just hard, isn't it, when you're like, that's the best coffee you've ever tried.
Yeah. You have to say yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm your farm, so yeah, sure.
It definitely is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Do you want to add something else?
I think really, I think Guatemala's a great place to come to do this type of trip, because I think there's such a mix of scenery, comfortable, and I think it's a great kind of, it's got a lot of stuff to offer in terms of flavour. Coffee's good, the scenery's amazing, and sort of the travelling around is so picturesque. So I think, you know, the farms that we've been to are very different, aren't they? You've got the kind of indigenous ones, which I haven't obviously been to, but you've got more of you've got such a blend of farms.
Yeah.
And it's such a great spot.
there's something I want to say here that we just spent New Year's Eve. This is the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago, we were in a rooftop.
Yeah.
Having some drinks, an active volcano in the background.
You can't get better than that.
Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. It's very comfortable in that sense, but you also have exposure to more deprived areas that people actually need the money to survive.
Yeah.
So you have a blend of everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you've got sort of extremely wealthy farmers, and then you've got the ones that you go up to where
they just need
we
money
need to sell this to get money.
Yes.
So it's really different, but it's so interesting to come at, because I'm not sure where else you'd see that. Maybe everywhere, I don't know, but it's like, it is a really interesting
place. Something that I admire from you, and I've said it and I will say it again, is your palate. Basically the way that you taste things. Every coffee that you sell, have you tasted it?
Yeah.
So basically it has the Jonny qualities. You're saying, this is the coffees that I like, or
Yeah, I think what I tend to do now is you've done it for a few years.
Yeah.
I tend to pick a coffee where I know it's from a good importer.
Yeah.
It's good quality. For the filter stuff, I just try and buy the best at the moment.
Yeah.
Buy the best that I can, understand what that is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like an Ethiopian natural tastes like this, so I roast it like this. Roast it a few times, drink it as much as I can in different ways, so I don't just cup, because that's not how people drink it. So I'll try and drink it in
espresso, cappuccino.
Different brew, like filter methods, put it in like a rubbish brewer, put it in a good brewer, just to try it.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know what it is in my brain, but I'll just be like, oh, that's a little bit too sharp on the acidity, so I'll do this in the roast. That's a little bit less body, so I'll do this. And then the next batch, I'll do it.
That's great. If anyone wants to talk to you, how can they find you?
The Brew Project UK is the email address at gmail.com, or Instagram, it's just the Brew Project. So we've got our new website, which is brewprojectwholesale.co.uk, and that's got loads of I try and just pack that with articles about the coffee industry. I do sort of brew guides, I do how to find the coffee that you're going to like. So I try and make that website less salesy, more kind of interesting, basically.
And you have a new packaging, right? Which are
new. So we switched from small tins to just aluminium beer cans.
Okay.
Loads of different reasons, but they're basically obviously way more recyclable.
Yeah.
And just easy to fill. They work. They look cool.
They're really cool. Yeah, they're really cool. I can vouch for that. They're really cool. Yeah.
So everything's just in a tin. No bags, try and do as minimal plastic waste as possible. We've done that from day one anyway. That's it.
Cool, perfect. Thank you very much. Nice having you.
A pleasure.